Okay, so good morning again. Nung nakaraan pinag-aralan natin yung about sa natin, first topic ng Module 5 which is about the geologic hazard mitigation and adaptation. Okay? So, ulitin ko lang yung ating main objective in studying about the Module 5 is to describe the various hazard that may happen in the event of earthquake, volcanic eruption, and landslide. We will also identify the areas prone to hazard using hazard mapping and cite practical ways in order to prevent and mitigate these natural hazards. Okay? So, from our past topic, we have discussed about the identifications of hazard, exposure, impacts, risk, vulnerability. Okay? Yan yung mga naging lesson natin. We also discuss about the the first geologic hazard, which is about the earthquake. And we have seen, the different countries that had a deadliest earthquake, that claim most lives in their century. Okay? So, we will now proceed with our next topic, which is about the seismology. Okay? So, pag sinabi nating seismology, it is the study of earthquake and seismic wave that move through and around the earth. Okay? So, isang seismology daw is yung tungkol sa pag-aaral, tungkol sa earthquake at sa seismic wave on how they were able to move around the earth, how they were able to move through the earth. Okay? And what are those impact? Ano ang impact nito when it comes on the different movements, na nangyayari, sa paligid ng earth. So, yun yung aalamin natin, So, a seismologist, they are the scientists who studies about the earthquake and seismic wave. Okay? Sila yung mga scientists na nag-aaral about sa seismology and the seismic waves, the different characteristics of seismic waves, and then their types. Okay? Sila yung nag-aaral tungkol doon. Then, the seismographs naman, these are the instrument that used to record the motion of the ground during the earthquake. Yun daw yung ginagamit para mas ma-set, mas ma-record pa yung motion ng ground during the earthquake. Okay? A seismograph consists of a pendulum mounted on the support base. Okay? And then the pendulum is or in turn is connected to the recorder. Okay? Recorder such as an ink pen. And then when the ground vibrates, the pendulum remains still while the recorder moves. Okay, ganun yung nangyayari. Kapag ka nagkakaroon ng movement ang earth or ang ground, yung pendulum, nakaano lang siya, yun yung bilog, Yan. Naka-still lang siya, okay? Pero yung pinakang recorder niya, yun yung gumagalaw, yun yung seismogram tracing vibration. Ayun na nakikita nyo. Yan, yung pen niya, yun yung nandun sa pendulum mismo. Yan yun siya. Okay? So, this is the different parts of the seismograph. Pinapakita dito, So, as you can see, this is the base. Okay? Itong base na ito, it is where ito yung isineset mismo sa ground, base set into the ground. And then ito yung pinakang horizontal earth. Ayan, movements, ito yung pinagbe-basean nila ng horizontal earth movement. Tapos itong part na to, ito yung tinatawag na rotating paper drum. Okay? Yung rotating paper drum na yan, diyan nare-record, ano? Diyan nare-record o diyan mismo na re-record yung seismogram vibration. Okay? Ito yun, no? Ito yung seismogram tracing of vibrations. Yun yung guhit-guhit na ganun. Diba? Tapos yung pen, yun yung nandun sa pendulum, yung heavyweight na sinasabi, na nakasabit sa pinakang taas, yung pinakang frame niya. Ito siya. Ayan. Yun yung pen, siya yung nagre-record. Hindi ito gumagalaw ha, hindi ito ang gumagalaw. Ito si pen. Siya yung gumagalaw mismo. Once na nagkaroon ng vibration, ito mapi-feel yan, mararamdaman nitong bass. Diretso yan dito. Okay? So, a seismometer is the internal part of the seismograph, which may be pendulum or a mass mounted on a spring, okay, that responds to the ground motion, okay, such as caused by earthquake, volcanic eruption, sometimes by explosion. Okay, so meron daw tayong dalawang klase ng body waves, okay, na nararamdaman ng seismometer. Okay, unang-una na ng seismograph, unang-una is the P wave, wherein the P wave travels almost twice as fast. Mas mabilis daw yung P wave, ano. Then the P wave travels through liquid and solid. Yan. So madalas na nagta-travel yung wave nito, yung P wave, sa tubig, yan, sa dagat, sa ilog, nakakapag-travel yung wave na yon. Then the P wave, also called as the primary wave or push-pull waves. Okay? So mabilis lang yung P wave, yung travel niya, no? Kasing bilis lang siya ng para siyang flash. Yang isang flash lang siya na ganun. Okay? So it can travel through the water or even sa solid. Okay? Unlike yung direction ng S-wave naman, yung para siyang ganyan, yung sigsag-sigsag na ganyan. Yung S-wave is, wala siyang kakayanan na mag-travel sa liquid. Okay? Kahit sa dagat, sa ilog, sa mga lakes, wala siyang kakayanan. The S-wave provide the evidence for a liquid outer core, and the S-wave are called as the shear wave or secondary wave. Yan. Yun daw yung tinatawag na S-wave. Okay. So, the earthquake generate two types of seismic wave. Okay. So, yun nga yun. That's the two type of seismic wave. The S-wave and then the P-wave. Okay. So, yung P-wave, it can travel through any kind of material, whether a solid, a liquid, or a gas. As we have mentioned earlier, from the illustration. Then, yung S-wave naman, it only move through solid and stop by liquid and gases. Okay? Geologists use this difference to determine that the Earth's outer core is liquid and continue to use this difference to map the internal structure of the Earth. So, generally, yung S-wave is mas larger siya kaysa sa P-wave, okay? Causing much of the damage in an earthquake. So, mas malawak, yung damage na kayang magawa ni S-wave than kay P-wave. Since the particles in an S-wave move up and down, okay, they move the earth around them with greater force, shaking the surface of the earth. While the P-wave itself, though, is easier to record. It is because it is significantly taller and do not cause as much damage because they compress particles in an only one direction. Okay? So, yun yung pagkakaiba ni P-wave tsaka ni S-wave. So, number 2, yung surface wave, it only appear, okay, at the surface similar ocean waves. So the surface waves are typically generated when the source of earthquake is close to the Earth's surface. So these are the two types of this wave. Una is the Rayleigh waves. Okay? It is named after the British psychologist Lord Rayleigh. Okay? And love waves. It is named after the British geophysicist. Okay? Augustus Edward Huff-Love. Ayan. Okay? So, just to make a clear assumption about the Rayleigh wave, again, it was came from the name of British physicist. Okay? Lord Rayleigh. Ayan. So, these are the two types of surface wave. Ayan. The love wave. Sa love wave, ayan, mas malaki, yung kanyang movement, as you can see. Mas malaki yung movement niya from the surface or the direction. Okay? While si Rayleigh wave naman is there is a movement or there is a wave na hindi masyadong hindi ganun kalaki yung curve ng niya, movement niya. Okay? So, yung niya yan. Yung body waves, tapos surface wave. Okay? So, it's the faster surface, okay, wave and moves the ground from side to side. Okay? So, yung fastest surface, ito mabilis yung movement, tapos malalaki yung wave niya. Okay? So, confined to the surface of the crust, love wave produce entirely horizontal motion. While the Rayleigh wave rolls along the ground just like a wave rolls across a lake or an ocean. Okay? So, yun yung pagkakaiba nilang dalawa. So, dito tayo sa modified Mercalli scale. Etong modified Mercalli scale na to, ipinapakita nito yung mga pupwedeng yung mga pupwede nating maramdaman during the movement of the ground. Okay? Yung modified yung scale number 1, okay? From the scale number 1, dahil mahina lang siya, hindi natin siya nararamdaman. As we have discussed from our past lesson, 'di ba? Nabanggit natin na the ground itself moves, 'di ba? Naturally because of the tectonic plates. Okay? So, from that reason, hindi talaga natin nararamdaman yung movement ng ground. Then, from the scale number 2, nararamdaman na to kapag yung isang tao o tayo mismo is nakaupo lang tayo. Okay, 'di ba? Yung parang pag naglagay ka ng tubig sa baso tapos inilagay mo siya sa lamesa, nagkaroon ng ground shaking, mararamdaman, makikita mo gumagalaw yung tubig, 'di ba? Most especially kapag yung tao is nasa upper floors, 'di ba? So, actually, when I was in college, naranasan namin to. We were having the activity doon sa namin sa school. That was 8 p.m. bago kami magsiuwian. And then lahat kami nakaupo sa floor. Nasa third floor kami noon. From the measurement of scale number 2, naramdaman talaga namin na gumagalaw yung lupa. Gumagalaw talaga siya. Nasa kami, 'di ba? Nasa mataas na area kami. So hindi kami pwedeng basta umalis. Hindi kami pwedeng basta tumakbo, hindi kami pwedeng magpanik. So all we do is talaga kami sa ilalim ng nasa ilalim kasi nag-close kami noon closed door talaga kami noon kasi may activity kami. So ang ginawa namin, pumunta kami sa mga ilalim ng lamesa, sa upuan, 'di ba, for us to be safe from pero yung ang ginawa namin, yung lamesa, hindi namin siya yung naka flat through tapos nasa ilalim. No, ginawa namin na namin siya parang pa-triangle. Kasi daw kapag flat through yung ibabaw ng lamesa, there is a possibility na pag bumagsak yung debris from that stable is madaganang ka pa rin. Pero kapag ka naka-ano siya, kapag ka naka-triangle yung ano niya, yung position niya, kahit bumagsak yung debris, hindi ka makukulong ka lang doon, pero hindi ka tatamaan. Okay? Hindi siya babagsak sa'yo. Okay? So, next is from the scale 3 is the felt indoors vibration like passing of light trucks. Ayan, nararamdaman na siya, no? Number 4 is the vibration like passing of heavy trucks. 'Di ba? Yung talagang yung dumadagong-gundong na, talagang yung ramdam mo na yung vibration niya, no? Dito sa area namin, dito sa bahay namin, kapag ka merong mga malalaking sasakyan, kahit nga yung mga tricycle nga lang ramdam talaga namin yung vibration ng vibration ng kalsada sa loob ng bahay. Kasi tabing kalsada lang kami. 'Di ba? Lalo na pag malalaking sasakyan. 'Di ba? So ganun. 'Di ba? Then from scale number 5 is the felt outdoors, okay? Small unstable object displays or upset. Yan. Sa scale number 5. Scale number 6 is felt by all. Nararamdaman na to ng lahat. Yung mga furniture, nagmo-move na sila. 'Di ba? Yung mga plasters, yung mga masonry cracks, nagkakaroon ng crack yung mga, anong tawag dito? Yung pader, 'di ba? Tapos by scale number 7, mahihirapan na tumayo yung tao, 'di ba? Magkakaroon ng damage of masonry, tapos yung mga chimneys talagang babagsak, ganun yung nangyayari sa kanya. 'Di ba? Yung pader is halos gumiba na, 'di ba? Ganun ang nangyayari. Then sumunod is the partial collapse of masonry, then frame houses move. Okay? Then masonry by 9, okay, scale 9, masonry seriously damaged or destroyed, and then many buildings and bridge are destroyed by 10. Then scale number 11, rails and bents, okay, rail bent, okay, greatly pipeline bent greatly, then pipeline severely damaged. Then by 12 is talagang total damage talaga yung nangyari. Diba? Or damage nearly total by scale number 12. Okay? So, halos nararamdaman natin yun yung scale number. Tapos talagang madami talaga siyang nasalanta, madaming may mga namatay, talagang yung mga buildings bumagsak, So, kagaya nung napag-aralan natin nung nakaraan, yung ipinakita yung 10 deadliest earthquake na halos kumitil ng libo-libong tao, na ipinakita natin nung nakaraan. Okay? So, ano nga ba yun? Yun yung sinasabi ni ma'am. Yung mga nararamdaman natin is kapag ka nagkaroon ng earthquake, actually is ibinabase siya by intensity. Okay? So, pag sinabi nating intensity, it is the severity of earthquake. Okay, shaking is assessed using the descriptive scale and the modified Mercalli intensity scale. Okay? So, ginagamitan siya ng modified Mercalli intensity scale. Okay? So, dito pinapakita inaano siya, nire-record siya by whole Arabic numerals. Okay? Yung intensity. Okay? So, kumbaga parang by the modified Mercalli scale, yung intensity 1. Kumbaga, 'di ba? Ganun yung nangyayari sa kanya hanggang intensity 12. Yung pinakang malakas talaga niya, na talagang full destruction talaga, Okay? So, yung magnitude naman, ito naman yung quantitative measure ng energy released by an earthquake. Okay? Ang magnitude, ginagamitan naman ito ng Richter. Okay? Richter scale. Yun yung ginagamit para ma-measure natin yung magnitude, okay, ng isang earthquake. So, these are the different intensity that has been recorded by or that has been kumbaga ito yung pinakita. Okay? Kumbaga ito siya Ayan, kumbaga pinano lang siya. Okay? Ayan. So, imagine mo, kapag nangyari yung isang malaking yung earthquake sa ganitong kalaking lugar, what would happen, ano? So, from this illustration, ipinapakita yung Philippine Arena, which is located at Ciudad de Victoria in Bulacan. Okay? So, this Philippine Arena is the world's largest dome arena, and currently the most from earthquake proof, okay, structure in the world. Okay, so sabi earthquake proof daw tong area na to, kahit magkaroon ng earthquake is hindi siya madadamage kasi meron silang ginawang technique, okay, ginawan nila to ng para hindi siya magkaroon o hindi siya maapektuhan ng earthquake. Okay? So, earthquake proof daw si Philippine Arena. Pero imagine, 'di ba, what would happen if a great earthquake happens in this area. Tapos ang dami-daming tao, 'di ba? Okay. So, sometimes the ground tremors is sinasabi o yung paggalaw ng lupa is merong damage o marami siyang nagiging damage when it comes on the surroundings, the environment, the environmental destruction, 'di ba, sa tao. But there are some na yung primarily or the ground tremor is a primarily effect of earthquake, okay? But may pose not as much as that threaten sa mga tao. Sometimes nakakapag pa to sa ibang parte, kagaya na lamang nitong nasa illustration, which is the mangrove forest in Palawan, credited by the Sailor Psalm, okay? So ipinapakita yung effect ng earthquake to this area wherein naging allocated yung mga mangroves into its possession, okay? Tapos na-separate talaga mismo yung pinakang water. Okay? Ganun yung naging epekto ng ground tremors. Sa area na yun. Okay? So, ito yung mga karaniwang nagiging cause ng ground tremors. Okay? So, alamin natin kung ano-ano yung mga nagiging cause ng ground tremors. Unang-una is the tsunami. 'Di ba? Usually kasi si ground tremors is nag-uumpisa sa ilalim ng lupa. Tama, 'di ba? And sometimes si tsunami, ito yung giant wave caused by an earthquake or a volcanic eruption under the sea. 'Di ba? Ano-ano ba yung mga bansa na nakakaranas nito? 'Di ba? Kagaya na lamang ng Japan, 'di ba? Ano pa ba? China. 'Di ba? Sa Korea nagkakaroon din sila ng tsunami. 'Di ba? So it travels very fast in an open water at about 500 to 1,000 km per hour. So more than 80% of the world's tsunamis occur in the Pacific along in its ring of fire subduction zone. Okay? So karaniwan nagkakaroon ng tsunami doon sa mga area na napapabilang na malapit sa Pacific. Okay? Na napapabilang sa mga bansa na nasa ring of fire subduction kasi doon madalas nagkakaroon ng volcanic eruption, ng earthquake, 'di ba? Kagaya ng mga binanggit ni Ma'am na bansa kanina. So usually it takes an earthquake with a Richter magnitude exceeding to 7.5, 'di ba? In order to produce the destructive tsunami. 'Di ba? So umaabot daw ng 7.5 magnitude. Okay? Pag umabot na ng 7.5 magnitude yung earthquake, saka pa lang magkakaroon ng destructive tsunami. And most of the tsunamis are generated by shallow, okay, great earthquake at subduction zone. So mangrove forest, okay, reduce the impact of tsunami and the floods by reducing both the height and velocity of the incoming waves and by disturbing water among the canals. So, yun daw mga mangroves, earthquake, mangroves, tapos yung mga forest, 'di ba? Nare-reduce nito yung impact, 'di ba? O yung lakas na pwedeng maging ng tsunami. Kasi kumbaga, humaharang siya 'di ba? Humaharang siya dun sa mas malakas na tubig na paparating pa, okay, sa ground or dun sa mismong area. So the Pacific Tsunami Warning System maps, okay, shows the amount of time it would take for waves to arrive at different coast given a hypothetical tsunami which is generating earthquake should occur. Ayan, yun yung tsunami, And then letter B is the liquefaction. Okay? So sa liquefaction, it is the loosening of soil and sediments that is caused by shaking of the ground during the earthquake. Okay? So sa liquefaction, dito nangyayari yung pagguho ng lupa, Kasi nga dahil nagkaroon ng shaking of the ground, 'di ba? Humihina yung foundation ng structure ng lupa na pwedeng makapag-cause ng damage into the property. 'Di ba? Let's say for example, isang area sa isang subdivision, 'di ba? Tapos anong tawag dito? Madalas ang pag-ulan o nagkaroon ng ground shaking, 'di ba? Humina yung foundation ng sa ilalim. So pwede siya na gumuho. 'Di ba? Yung sediments na, yung soil sa ilalim, pwede siyang bumagsak, pwede siyang gumuho. 'Di ba? And then a sand boil is sand and water that came out on the ground surface during the earthquake as a result of liquefaction. Okay? So sumunod naman is the scarce collapse or quartz collapse. Yan. Medyo lang yung kasi nadoble lang. Diba? Kasi lumiit yung monitor natin Pero yun? Quartz collapse. Okay? So, quartz is a topography form. Okay? From the dissolution of soluble rocks such as limestone, diba? Dolomite, and the gypsum due to the formation of the groundwater. So, the development of quartz occurs whenever acidic water starts to break down and the surface of bedrock near it cracks or bedding planes as the bedrock typically or limestone or dolomite continues to degrade. Okay? And it cracks tend to get bigger. Okay? Yun yung tinatawag na quartz collapse. Yung sinkhole naman, diba? Yung sinkhole naman is also known as cenote. Actually, ang sinkhole, madali nating mag-distinguish to Kasi sa isang area, kapag merong isang, hindi hinukay ng tao to it naturally happens. Diba? Kung saan, most especially pag malapit siya sa epicenter, diba? Gumuguho talaga yung lupa. Diba? It is a depression in the ground that has no natural external surface or drainage. So basically, this means that when it rains, all water stays inside the sinkhole and typically drain into the subsurface. Ayan, ito yung example ng sinkhole. So commonly, the sinkhole are where the rock below the land surface is limestone. Ito siya. Then the carbonate rock, the salt beds or rocks are naturally be dissolved by groundwater. So ito siya, kaya nagkakaroon ng sinkhole. Actually, napakadelikado nitong area na to, 'di ba? Kasi kumbaga dito sa area na to, okay, as you can see, lahat ng water is napupunta sa kanya, okay? And tapos kaya bumabagsak yung lupa, 'di ba? Ayan, yung floods. Okay, ayan, ito yun. So, ayan, doon siya napupunta talaga. Tapos, kapag sobra-sobra na pala siya, kaya nagkakaroon ng sinkhole, is bumabagsak na. Okay? Bumabagsak yung lupa. Ayan, yung nagiging dahilan kung ba't nagkakaroon ng sinkhole. Most especially, kapag nagkaroon ng earthquake. Ayan. So mostly, this sinkhole is madalas na nakikita dun sa mga area na malapit sa epicenter. 'Di ba nung nakaraan is pinag-aralan natin what is the epicenter? It is the area, okay, in the ground where the ground shaking, okay, or the earthquake started. Okay? So ayan siya. So dun tayo sa pangalawa, the volcanic eruption. 'Di ba? Yung una natin pinag-aralan na geologic hazard is the earthquake. Pangalawa naman is the volcanic eruption. Okay? So, sa volcanic eruption, pinag-aralan na rin natin ito sa module number 3, wherein we have discussed about the volcanism, ano? So, sinasabi na through the volcanic eruption, it is where the different materials spews out during any eruption, kagaya na lang ng magma, 'di ba? Or the lava, 'di ba? So, para siyang ganito. Ayan, yan pinapakita talaga, ano, from this illustration, how does it happen, kung paano siya nangyayari, ano, yung mga gases nire-release, 'di ba? Some pyroclastic materials, 'di ba? Yun yung mga bombs na sinasabi nila, but those are the ayan talaga siya. Those are the rocks, 'di ba? Some of them are lava, talagang umaano talaga siya. Then pyroclastic flows, yun yung mga ashes, 'di ba? Talaga na pabagsak, ano. Then sumunod is the lava flow there. Then lahar mud flows, ito siya. Ayan, yun yung nangyayari. So, the magma contains the dissolved gases which provide the driving force that causes most volcanic eruption. Ayan. So, magma rises toward the surface and pressure decreases and gases are released from the liquid portion of the magma. So, ang nangyayari sa kanya, nami-melt down, ano, nami-melt down yung mga rocks, 'di ba? Na nandun sa magma. Kaya ganun ang nangyayari. And then it will continue to travel upward and eventually release into the atmosphere. So, these are the different elements, or particularly is nire-release ng volcano during the eruption. Una is the lava. Okay? The lava or the magma, they are called as the molten rock, which is emerging as a liquid into Earth's surface. Okay? So, the term lava is also used to solidified rocks, or for the solidified rocks, excuse me, which is formed by the cooling of molten lava flow. And the higher lava silica content, the higher is the viscosity. Okay, yun yung lava na tinatawag. Then letter B is the pyroclastic flow. So the pyroclastic flow is a dense, okay, fast-moving flow of solidified lava pieces, wherein it has a volcanic ashes and hot gases. So, most pyroclastic flow consist of two parts. Unang-una na is the lower flow or the basal. Okay? So, yung pyroclastic flow, yung lower flow na tinatawag, is a coarse fragment that move along the ground. Ito yung pinakang delikado talaga, no? Kaya yung pinakita ko na, na illustration, yung pyroclastic flow, na yung mismong ashes is doon sa ground ang daan, hindi sa taas. 'Di ba? Mas malawak yung niya. Tapos yung turbulent cloud naman na tinatawag is the rising of ashes above the base. Pataas mismo siya. Okay, sa aerial naman. Okay, so tatandaan nyo, the two types or two parts of pyroclastic flow are the lower base or lower flow. Then sumunod naman is the turbulent cloud. Then letter C is the lahar or the volcanic mud flow. Okay? In an Indonesian term, it describes a hot or cold mixture of water and rock fragments that flows down the slope of a volcano. Okay? So typically, it enters a river valley. Okay? And small seasonal events are sometimes referred as the debris flow. Yan. Yun yung minsan na description sa kanya. So especially yung sa mga cascades. Yan. Lahars are similarly to pyroclastic flow but contains more water. 'Di ba? Yung lahar daw is halos katulad siya ng pyroclastic flow. Ang pinagkaiba niya lang is mas, okay? Nagko-contain kasi siya ng tubig Kaya delikado din, Kagaya na lamang nung nangyari nga sa Pampanga, 'di ba? aside from pyroclastic flow, meron din siyang lahar na ni-release yung volcano. Then, sumunod is the gas. Okay? A gas by far is the most abundant volcanic gas. Okay? And the water vapor. Or is the water vapor. So, it is very harmless. Kasi ano lang naman siya, parang steam lang siya. Okay? Na nire-release ng volcano. So, however, a significant amount of carbon dioxide, the sulfur dioxide, the hydrogen sulfide, and hydrogen halides can also be emitted from the volcano. So, yun yung mga example ng volcanic gas na tinatawag. Okay, ulitin natin. Una, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and hydrogen halide. Okay? Then, sumunod naman is letter E. Okay? It is a mixture of rock, the ash, diba? Or usok, abo. Diba? A mixture of rock, mineral, and glass particles which expelled from a volcano during volcanic eruption. So, it is the smallest pyroclastic unit. Okay? Less than 2 millimeters or 0.079 inches. So, it produced from fragmentation during the volcanic activity. And some volcanic ash is extremely reflected due to the large concentration of silica, rich glass, and high particle of vesiculaty. Okay? So, yun yung tinatawag natin na ash. Ayan. So, tingnan nyo to. From the illustration, is right after the volcanic eruption, there is a tiny leaf sprout amid ash-covered crops. Okay? Kumbaga, ito ay tumubo a week after the Taal volcano eruption. Diba? Kasi, kumbaga, nung time na nagkaroon talaga ng volcanic eruption sa Taal, diba? Sa Batangas, talaga namang yung buong area ay napapalibutan siya ng abo o ng ashes. Okay? So, as you can see from the illustration, 'di ba? Pinapakita na right after a week after the volcanic eruption is meron ng tiny leaf sprout amid the ash covered crops. Okay. So, dito naman tayo sa volcano monitoring. Okay? So, sa volcano monitoring, it involves the assessment of different volcanic phenomena. Okay? That may point out an impending eruption. Okay? So, these listed below are some signs that a volcano is about to erupt. So, when it comes on volcano monitoring, may mga signs daw na tinitingnan sila sa volcano. 'Di ba? Kung ito ay malapit ng mag-erupt. So, unang-una na is the ground movement. Okay? So, sa ground movement, this can be monitored through the GPS or what we call global positioning system. Okay? So, this global positioning system, siya yung ginagamit para ma-monitor yung paggalaw ng lupa. Tapos, ginagamitan din siya ng tinatawag na remote sensing of area around it. Diba? And then, pangalawa naman, na inoobserbahan o tinitingnan kapag malapit ng sumabog ang volcano is what we call the gas release. Okay? The gas release, it increases the emission of heat and gas from vents of the volcano because gas is being the lightest component of the magma that can easily exsolve to travel through the fissures and cracks in the rocks and soil. So, yung gas release kasi 'di ba kapag nakita na nila na nagre-release na ng steam yung volcano, ang unang-unang ng mga tao o most especially the geologists na nag-aaral ng seismologists, okay, is the releasing of gas from the volcano. Okay? Then sumunod naman is the anomalous thermal signature. Yung sinasabing anomalous thermal signature, the rocks and soil are heated due to the magma moving up. Okay? Then the surface which may result to the drying of some bodies of water, 'di ba? This change in the temperature in the is observed through the remote sensing. So, eto dahil sa sobrang init ng paligid ng volcano, nagkakaroon ng anong tawag dito, yung pagbabago to the temperature, kung saan some bodies of water is natutuyo, 'di ba? So, ganun yung nangyayari sa kanya. Then, sumunod naman is the chemical changing nearby the bodies of water. So, the gas exhaled from the magma change the chemistry of water. So, yung gas na i-release ng magma, nababago nito yung chemistry ng water. So, maaaring yun yung maging isa sa mga signs na magkakaroon na ng volcanic eruption. And then, sumunod naman is the landslide. Ayan, pagguho ng lupa, 'di ba? Pag sinabi nating landslide, it is the downslope movement of material due to the failure of slope from the triggering factors. 'Di ba? Then, sumunod is the hazard. Yung hazard map, ginagamit ito para mai-particulate kung saan ba maaaring magkaroon ng volcanic eruption. 'Di ba? So, meron tayong dalawang klase ng dimensional presentation ng hazard map. And unang-una na nito is yung generic map, 'di ba? Na karaniwan kino-consider dito yung map title, 'di ba? Then sumunod is the compass rose, then the legend, and then the scale. Yun yung generic map. Okay? Yun two types of hazard map, guys. Two types of hazard map. Una, generic map. Okay? Ang kino-consider doon ay map title again, compass rose, legend, and then the scale. Okay? So, pag sinabi nating map title, it is used to determine the area of political region where the map is based. Then, yung compass rose naman is to orient the user kung saan yung north, saan yung west, 'di ba? Tapos, ang legend naman, it is used to show the symbols of the map. Okay, then yung scale is it is used to help convert the distance or the map distance to its actual distance. Okay? Yan. So this is the example of a map, okay, which is comparing the ground leveling susceptibility of three cities ng San Juan, ng Mandaluyong at saka ng Makati. 'Di ba? So kasi yan ipinakita diyan yung kung ano nga ba yung nangyayari, alin ba dito yung mga pwedeng daanan, ayan, or kung ano yung mga lugar na maaaring maapektuhan, pinapakita ng earthquake during that time. Okay? So, meron siyang mga legend, halimbawa, yung intensity 8 is pinaka-high. Ang maapektuhan nito is Mandaluyong and then half of Makati. 'Di ba? Then sa intensity 7 naman, wala siyang intensity 7 Ayan. Konti lang ayun Yun yung mga maliliit. But most likely is intensity 7, yung violet, more ayan. Yan siya. Cover niya pa rin yung 1/4 ng Mandaluyong, the whole San Juan, and then half ng Makati. Yan. Yun yung abot niya. Okay? So, just to make a clear assumption about the hazard map, yung dalawang klase ng hazard map is the generic map, and then yung pangalawa is the political map. Okay? Baka kasi syempre yung loss of natin, 'di ba? Para clear siya. We have the generic map and then political map. Yun yung karaniwang ginagamit para malaman kung ano ba yung mga area, 'di ba, na maaaring maapektuhan ng earthquake. Okay? So, that is our lesson in module number 5. Yan. So, which is about the different ayan. Okay? So, going back no, sa ating okay. So, yan ang ating topic about the geologic hazard and mitigation process. Okay?